Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Another day, another Faction Wars completed. So if you didn't know, we are currently doing a Faction Wars series based on my free-to-play series that I do on YouTube as well, but it's going to be focusing on just the faction aspect as far as like completing the Faction Wars and getting my Lydia. So today we completed our Dark Elves faction, stage 21, we got all 3 stars without any of our champions dying, and I do want to go over the champions that I used here. It's a relatively free-to-play friendly roster, I would say, if I'm being honest. So here we have 2 Colars, a Sylar, Painkeeper, and a Ghostborn. So a Ghostborn, you might say, is not a free-to-play friendly champion per se. So I honestly could have replaced him with my Physics, who is a free-to-play champion that you get over time as a daily login reward. And I went with the Ghostborn because it was a lot faster. The Physics would have taken a lot longer, so that's pretty much my excuse. So the MVP of this entire faction is hands down, without a doubt, it's definitely Sylar. She is so good at controlling the waves. She's so good at controlling the boss turn meter. She's so good. She's really, really good in the stun set. So I guess we'll just start with her then. So as you can see here, we have Sylar, who is not completely level 60 yet, but we do have her at 205 speed, enough accuracy to make sure we can land those debuffs. A decent amount of HP. The defense is 2300 here. And then for the skills, I do have her fully booked out, just enough to, well, this is the most important thing, so I can wrap back around it as soon as possible. But yeah, this is going to decrease the speed on all enemies for 2 turns and decrease their turn meter by 40%, which is huge. And the other really good thing about her is she provides a speed aura for factions, Faction Crypt, 22% ally speed increase. And for the Masteries here, we went with War Master. So you don't have to get Masteries Honor, but it definitely does help take away the HP of all the mobs and the boss over time, so it does add up eventually. But War Master is really nice to just do extra damage, even though she's not really built for damage right now. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Stun set, Perception Gear, and yeah, again, Sylar is without a doubt the MVP of this entire faction, and you will see it as we showcase the run later. So the other 2 champions I went with was Cold Hearts, and you could say she is the MVP of this faction, and she might as well be too, because she does a lot. She does a lot of damage. She controls the turn meter of a lot of situations as well. But for the first Cold Heart here, we have her at 165 speed, a lot of crit damage for sure, and 223 accuracy, just so we can make sure we can land those debuffs and the Heartseeker, which is going to do a lot of damage on the boss particularly, and also depleting the turn meter of any champion I hit basically. So the A2 also provides poisons, if anything, if they're under heal reduction. And then the A1 provides the heal reduction. So it's a random hit 4-hitter, which is really nice. So we have her built in. Right now we do have her built in Flawless Execution, which is really nice against bosses. And I guess like if you're stage 20 or lower, it's really nice to have extra crit damage, right? But if I guess if I were to redo her Masteries for this particular dungeon, or just in general if I'm doing stage 21 or higher, it's definitely going to be War Master. Again, extra proc damage, really nice. And also the Evo Life, of course, really nice to get an additional decreased turn meter a little bit on the first hit. So I do have her fully booked out as well. And the second Cold Heart, I do have her built similarly, but she's not as powerful. She is at, I guess it's pretty good too, 281 crit damage. So the one thing I forgot to mention is the 2 Cold Hearts, we don't have her at 100% crit rate because the Heartseeker is going to be providing 30% crit rate on top of it. So we don't need to build her at 100%, we can leave her at 70% and that's fine. So that explains why I have her not at crit capped. So 160 speed here, not too much HP, we don't really care too much about the attack. We try to get above 200 accuracy to try to land those debuffs as much as we can. Fully booked, and the Masteries here, I guess we didn't complete her yet, but just to go down to the Flawless Execution again, and the Evil Life course. And for the next champion here, we'll go with the Painkeeper. So Painkeeper, I think I could have gotten away with the Painkeeper at level 40, to be honest, because we pretty much didn't really take a hit at all, except like once during the entire run. But we'll get to that later. So we have her at 161 speed. I don't really care about anything else, just wanted to make sure she was tanky enough to stay alive in case we took a hit. But her main job here was to just give us a little bit of shield, just some protection in the beginning just in case. I think if I had to redo her, I might have built her in maybe Relentless set or even Stun set, because she does have an AoE hitter on the A2. So I mean the shield set was nice, but I guess it wasn't really needed here in this situation. But the one thing that she does provide that's really important here is this. Decrease the cooldown of all allies by 1 turn. So I'm able to wrap back around onto my other champions and just do my Heartseeker again or control again with my Sylar. And it's really, really nice to just keep rotating with my abilities over and over. So Masteries, I don't have anything on her at the moment. And for the Ghostborn, so again, Ghostborn, a bit of a cheese as far as defense down because I don't need accuracy on him. But again, I could have used Sylar, who is a completely viable option as well, because you could throw this sunset on her, but it's just going to take a little bit longer. The Ghostborn was providing the defense down, and she does have 2 AoE hitters on the A2 and A3, so that gives me a lot more opportunity to land those stuns, which is really, really nice. And he does provide a big accuracy boost for factions as well, but that's not what we want with here. I want one more speed, but that is another option. So yeah, he does provide a AoE defense down that cannot be resisted. So what that means is I can build them with pretty much no accuracy and I'll still land everything. Yeah, so 172 speed. I just want to make sure he went before Cold Arts. And yeah, that's pretty much it here. That's all I focused on. Decent amount of HP. And for the skills, okay, so for here, if you can just land all the books into here, then you don't really need to focus on any of this. Yeah, so just land it as on this 3, and then here you're good to go. But unfortunately, my RNG didn't roll in my favor that way. So for the Masteries here, I do have him somewhat built. I don't have him at rank 6, so I can't really utilize the last row. And the other important thing was the Evil Eye. So this is going to help a lot with, I guess, you know, just that first hit I do is going to help reduce the turn meter a little bit. So it's really, really handy as well. So yeah, that's pretty much the rundown of my team. And I do want to showcase the actual run now with you guys. But for this run, I'm going to be doing a side-by-side commentary, talking about what my thoughts were during the run and anything else I could add as far as comments. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the video. Alright, here we go. So starting with the Sylar, we're going to be controlling the wave with her A3 as much as possible. And we're going to be throwing out the defense down from Ghostborn. And we're pretty much just going to do all our AoE attacks here to try to get them all down as evenly as possible. But the ones that I do want to focus on are going to be the Martyr. So the Martyr are going to be providing provoke and also counterattack for their entire team. So they are the biggest threat. So they are the ones I want to control or try to get down as much as possible. But here I'm just pretty much just controlling the entire wave with my CC abilities, and they're getting down pretty quickly because I have defense down. So once I have them all down as much as possible, we're just going to save all our cooldowns for the next wave. So as you can see here, now that I have the whole turn basically controlled, I can just use all my AoE or A1 abilities and just wrap back around and get all my cooldowns ready. Alright, so on to the wave 2. Now, the wave 2 is going to be really difficult in most factions because the Valkyries are the biggest threat here, and as well as the Warcaster. But the Valkyrie can get their, basically control the turn meter of us as well, because every time we get buffs, they're also going to be getting a turn meter boost as well and controlling our turn meters as well. So what we want to do here is try not to buff too much as possible, and we're going to use a Sylar to use the A3 to start it off so we can reduce our turn meter, control the wave as much as possible, and also try to get the stun out as much as I can from the Ghostborn and the Sylar, who are both in stun set right now. So we're going to throw out the defense down, and we got 2 of them stunned here. So now I can leave the stun targets alone and try to focus on the ones that are still awake, because they're going to get their turn and I do not want their turn to go off. Because once that counterattack goes off, we're in big trouble, because they're going to get a turn every single time I attack, and most of my abilities are AoE, so that is not good for us. So I noticed that the Warcaster's turn meter was pretty high up there, and I wanted to make sure to get him fully depleted before he takes a turn, because he's going to provide block damage, which is not good as well. So now, pretty much the Warcaster is still away from his turn for a bit, and the Valkyrie is still awake, and she's about to take her turn. So I want to make sure to control her now. So we got our turn meter reduced from the Evil Eye Mastery. And now I fully depleted her, and we're gonna just rinse and repeat, do everything all over again. So as you can see here, we're controlling the waves really nicely. They're never getting a turn off, which is great for us. And it's just smooth sailing from here as long as we can make sure we can keep stunning and make sure we never let them get their counterattack off. Alright, so now we're getting close to fighting the boss, and I can simply just A1 all of the rest of the way, because I want to make sure I have the rest of my cooldowns ready for the boss fight. Alright, so for this boss, he's going to be doing an A1 attack. One enemy places a poison debuff on the target for 3 turns, decrease the target's turn meter by 35%. So this is not that big of a deal. It's the A2 that we really have to worry about. For the A2, attacks all enemies, places a true fear debuff for 1 turn, also places a 5% poison debuff for 3 turns, and decreases the turn meter of all enemies by 50%. So this is something we have to be really scared of, because if he puts True Fear on all of us, then there's a very good chance we're going to skip our turn. So yeah, the A2 is definitely the biggest threat, but also the A3 passive is going to place a HP burn debuff for 1 turn on the attacker when hit. So every time we attack the boss, we're going to be placing HP burn debuff on ourselves. So if we can have some sort of healer or cleanser, that would be really ideal. So we have a Painkeeper to provide heals for us whenever we need it. So for this particular fight, ideally, you want to try to down the adds first or control them with stun, because the first add is going to provide block damage on the boss for 1 turn, and the second add is going to provide block debuff buff on the boss for 1 turn. So once these adds die, you don't have to worry about them coming back to life, because this boss doesn't revive or anything like that. So ideally, you either want to stun lock them or just make sure to get them down as soon as possible and then focus on the boss. But in my particular case, I'm able to control them with a stun, and I also have a defense down, which makes me hit a lot harder with my Heartseeker, so I try to target the boss as much as possible. Alright, so here we landed the decreased speed, which is really handy. Alright, so the reason why I did not want to use the Heartseekers for my Coldars immediately is because I'm waiting for my Ghostborn to take a turn first, so it can provide defense down, and then my Heartseekers are going to hit a lot harder. Alright, so there's no reason to reset yet. And now we're going to target the boss because he's about to take a turn. So now I can reset and just go again. So I probably should have used the Heartseeker there in the Coldar, but I guess I wasn't really thinking about it at the time, because I was going to reset most of it anyways. Oh, actually the reason why I did that is because I wanted to go on a rotation where Heartseekers will be going 1 turn off of each other, so I can control the boss. So that was the idea, now that I remember. So we can keep controlling the turn meter here with the Sylar MVP of this faction once again. And yeah, it's pretty much just smooth sailing from this run. So we do end up hitting a little bit of a wall here, or a little scary moment. But yeah, once we got the block damage on the boss, that's why we ran into a little bit of trouble, because we just don't really have a way to penetrate that, and he's going to take a turn. So what I do here is I do use my Heartseeker here, as you can see. And I wanted to make sure he didn't get the turn off yet, because I noticed the other mobs don't have their turn. So I wanted to try to down them first before I get back around to the boss, so I can just prepare myself. Alright, so we do get feared here, but we're still pretty healthy, and luckily we didn't really lose our turn from those two champions, which was huge. Otherwise, I probably would have to restart the run. So now it's just, it's just easy sailing here. Just got to target the boss and finish it up, and we're good to go. Yeah, so that is pretty much the run. So some other champions you could probably replace here is going to be, if you have a Madame Series, is really great against this faction as well. If you have another champion that's, I guess more friendly per se, would be like Kaiden. He provides res, he does a lot of damage as well, defense-based champion. So there's a lot of ways you can go for Dark Elves faction. It's a very powerful faction that has so many options, but hands down, Sylar in a stun set is huge. The Coldars are really good as well. And yeah, so that's pretty much the showcase for this run, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And we have, I think, 4 down now and 10 more to go, I believe, right? There's 14 factions total, I think, right? So yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Hope you guys enjoy my video. And if you enjoy my content, please make sure to subscribe, hit that like button, and I'll see you all in the next video.